Is that her? Someone whispers nearby. The first wife? Poor thing. I heard she's working at that diner on 5th Street now. The words slice through Mara like glass. She shouldn't have come tonight. The gallery opening invitation arrived 3 weeks ago, before she knew Marcus would be here, before she understood this entire evening was orchestrated as his personal victory lap. Her best friend Dahlia had convinced her to attend. You deserve to be there. You helped fund his first collection. But now Mara feels like a museum piece herself, something Marcus discarded and left on display for public scrutiny. She's backing toward the exit when Marcus spots her. His eyes light up with something cruel and gleaming, the expression of a man who's won and wants everyone to know it. Mara, his voice carries across the marble floor. Turning heads. I didn't think you'd actually come. Before we continue, please prove my mom wrong. She says I can't hit 1,000 subscribers. Okay, let's continue. Every instinct screams at her to run, but her legs have turned to stone. Marcus approaches with his fiancée attached to his side like an expensive accessory. Up close, the woman's youth is almost offensive. Smooth skin, bright eyes unmarked by the small betrayals and large heartbreaks that have etched themselves into Mara's 38-year-old face. This is Bethany, Marcus says, his smile sharp enough to draw blood. Bethany, this is Mara. My first attempt at marriage. The gallery seems to contract around her. Mara can feel dozens of eyes cataloging her clearance rack dress, her department store heels, the way her hands have grown rough from dishwashing and double shifts. She opens her mouth, but no words come, only the familiar sensation of drowning while everyone watches from shore. Then a hand slides around her waist, warm and impossibly solid. There you are, beloved! The voice is deep, textured like silk over steel. I've been looking everywhere for you. Mara turns and her heart stops. The man standing beside her shouldn't exist. He's too perfect, too otherworldly for the sterile white walls of the gallery. Dark hair falls across his forehead in artful waves, framing features that look carved from marble by an artist who'd been touched by divinity. But it's his eyes that steal her breath, pale silver that seems to glow in the gallery's harsh lighting, ancient and knowing and fixed entirely on her face. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than her car. Black fabric that moves like liquid shadow across shoulders broad enough to make grown men reconsider their life choices. Everything about him radiates power, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself, the kind that makes the air feel different just by existing in it. Mara starts, confused, but his fingers tighten almost imperceptibly against her waist. A warning. Or a plea. The stranger's gaze flicks to Marcus, and something shifts in the atmosphere. The temperature drops several degrees. Marcus takes a half-step back, his expression flickering between confusion and something that looks like primal recognition. Forgive me, the stranger says, though his tone suggests he's never asked forgiveness for anything in his life. I don't believe we've been introduced. Lucian Ashcroft. He doesn't extend his hand. Somehow this feels like a conscious choice, as if touching Marcus would be beneath him. Marcus's face has gone pale. Ashcroft? As in Ashcroft Industries? Among other ventures. Lucian's smile doesn't reach his eyes. And you are? The dismissal in those 3 words is surgical. Mara watches Marcus shrink, his peacocking confidence deflating as he realizes he's no longer the most important person in the room. Behind him, Bethany's eyes have gone wide, flicking between Lucian and Marcus, with the dawning awareness that she's backed the wrong horse. Marcus Webb, her ex-husband stammers. I own a gallery downtown. How quaint. Lucian's attention has already returned to Mara, his pale eyes searching her face with an intensity that makes her skin prickle. Shall we go, darling? We'll be late for our reservation. Mara's mind races. She should refuse, should demand to know who this man is and why he's claiming her like she belongs to him. But Marcus is watching with barely concealed shock, and behind him, Bethany whispers something that sounds like "That's Lucian Ashcroft," with the kind of reverence usually reserved for royalty. So instead, Mara does something completely insane. She reaches up, grabs Lucienne Ashcroft's collar, and pulls him down to her level. "My ex is watching," she whispers against his mouth, her voice desperate and raw. "Please don't push me away." For one terrible moment, Lucienne goes absolutely still. Mara can feel his surprise, can sense the coiled tension in his body like a predator deciding whether to strike or retreat. His eyes widen fractionally, those strange silver irises catching the light like mirrors. Then his hand slides up to cup the back of her neck, fingers threading through her hair, and he kisses her like the world is ending. It's not gentle. There's nothing tentative or polite about the way Lucien's mouth moves against hers, claiming her with a possessiveness that steals the breath from her lungs. He tastes like winter, cold and sharp and impossibly alive, and when his lips part hers, Mara feels electricity race down her spine. His other hand tightens at her waist, pulling her flush against a body that feels like it's carved from stone, and distantly she registers the shocked gasps echoing through the gallery. When he finally pulls back, Mara's knees have turned to water. Lucien's eyes have darkened to the color of storm clouds, fixed on her face with an intensity that makes her feel naked despite her clothes. "Well then," he murmurs, his voice rough, "I suppose we've given them something to talk about." Marcus makes a strangled sound. Behind him, Bethany's face has gone the color of curdled milk. The entire gallery has fallen silent, every eye fixed on Mara and the impossibly beautiful stranger who's holding her like she's something precious. Lucien turns his attention back to Marcus, and his smile could freeze blood. "I believe you know my driver, Sterling?" he says conversationally. "The one you tried to hire away last month with a rather insulting offer." He found it quite amusing. Marcus's face cycles through several shades of red. "I didn't. That was just... I'm not interested in your excuses." Lucien's voice drops several degrees. "But I am curious about something. You had the extraordinary fortune of being married to this remarkable woman, and you were foolish enough to let her go?" The words hang in the air like thrown knives. Mara feels her face flush, caught between mortification and something dangerously close to vindication. "Now she works in a diner," Marcus blurts out, his desperation making him cruel again. "She's nobody. She's mine." The words come out like a growl, and suddenly the temperature in the gallery plummets. Lucien takes a single step forward, still holding Mara against his side, and Marcus actually stumbles backward. "And I suggest you remember that the next time you consider speaking about her. I'm not known for my patience with those who insult what belongs to me. The threat is delivered with perfect courtesy, which somehow makes it more terrifying." Marcus's face has gone gray, and Bethany looks like she's considering bolting for the exit. Lucien doesn't wait for a response. He turns, guiding Mara toward the door with a hand that's both gentle and implacable. The crowd parts for them like water, people pressing back against the walls to clear their path. Mara catches fragments of whispered conversations. "Is that really him? I heard he hasn't been seen in public in years. She must be someone important." But her mind can barely process what's happening. The night air hits her face like a slap when they step outside. A sleek black car waits at the curb, so expensive Mara can't even identify the make. A driver in a pristine uniform opens the back door, his face carefully neutral. "Mr. Ashcroft." "Thank you, Sterling." Lucien guides Mara into the car with a hand at the small of her back, then slides in beside her. The door closes with a whisper of sound, sealing them in leather-scented darkness. The moment they're alone, Mara's nervous system seems to catch up with reality. She's in a car with a complete stranger. A stranger she kissed in front of 50 people. A stranger who Marcus seemed terrified of. A stranger whose eyes are still fixed on her face with that unsettling intensity. She starts, reaching for the door handle. "Wait." Lucien's hand covers hers, and Mara gasps. His skin is cold, not unpleasantly so, but noticeably cooler than human touch should be. "Please, let me explain." "Explain what?" Why you pretended to know me? Why you... She can't finish the sentence. Her lips still tingle from the kiss, her body still humming with the memory of being pressed against him. I wasn't pretending. Lucien withdraws his hand, and Mara immediately misses the cold weight of it. Not entirely. I've seen you before, Mara. Her name in his mouth sounds like a prayer. She swallows hard. Where? The diner on 5th Street. I've been coming there for the past 3 weeks. His smile is self-deprecating, almost human. Always requesting your section. You probably don't remember. I'm usually there very late, after the dinner rush. Mara's mind reels backward, trying to place him. Then it clicks. The man in the corner booth who always orders black coffee and never eats, who leaves $100 tips for a $5 check, who watches her with those strange pale eyes while she refills sugar dispensers and wipes down tables. You, she breathes. You're the one who... But you never spoke to me. Just coffee and those tips I thought were mistakes. Not mistakes. Lucian's voice is soft. You looked tired. I wanted to help. Help? You've left me nearly $2,000 over 3 weeks. The number still makes her slightly sick. She'd tried to return the money twice before her manager told her to accept it, or risk insulting a customer. That's not help, that's... nothing. The word comes out fierce. It's nothing compared to what you deserve. I've watched you, Mara. Watched you work double shifts with a smile that never quite reaches your eyes. Watched you comfort a crying child while her mother fumbled with a credit card. Watched you slip extra food to the homeless man who sits outside the diner, thinking no one notices. You're remarkable. Mara's throat tightens. You don't know me. I know enough. Lucian shifts closer, and Mara can smell him now. Cold cedar and something else, something dark and indefinable that makes her blood sing. I know your ex-husband is a fool. I know you deserve better than working yourself to exhaustion for tips that barely cover rent. And I know, he stops, jaw clenching. I know I had no right to interfere tonight. But when I saw you standing there, looking like he'd kicked you, I couldn't... I'm sorry if I overstepped. Sorry? Mara lets out a sound that's half laugh, half sob. You just humiliated my ex-husband in front of half the city's art scene. You claimed me like I was yours. You kissed me. Her voice drops. Why? Lucian's eyes meet hers, and Mara sees something ancient swimming in those silver depths. Something lonely and hungry and desperately, achingly human despite its otherworldliness. Because, he says quietly, I've been alone for a very long time. And then I saw you, and for the first time in decades, I wanted something. Someone. His hand lifts, hovering near her face like he's afraid to touch her. Tell me to leave you alone, Mara. Tell me you want nothing to do with me, and I'll disappear. Sterling will drive you home, and you'll never see me again. Mara should say yes. Should demand to be taken home immediately. Should run from this strange, beautiful man who speaks in riddles and kisses like he's claiming her soul. Instead, she asks, What are you? The question hangs between them. Lucian goes very still, his expression shifting into something careful and guarded. What do you think I am? He counters. Mara's mind catalogues the evidence, the impossible beauty, the cold skin, the way Marcus seemed to recognize his name with something like fear, those eyes that catch light like an animal's, the way he only orders coffee, never food, the late-night visits to the diner, always after dark. I think, she says slowly, that you're not entirely human. Lucian's smile is sad and ancient. No, I'm not. He doesn't elaborate, doesn't need to. The truth sits between them like a third presence, undeniable and terrifying, and somehow, impossibly, not surprising at all. How old are you? Mara whispers. Old enough to have made many mistakes, young enough to want to make more. His hand finally makes contact, fingers brushing her cheek with impossible gentleness. Old enough to know I should walk away from you, young enough to hope you'll ask me to stay. Mara's entire body is trembling. This is insane. Yes, I don't even know you. We could change that. Lucian's thumb traces her lower lip, and Mara's breath catches. Let me take you to dinner. Somewhere real, not the gallery circus we just escaped. Let me talk to you like a person instead of watching you from across a diner. Give me one evening, Mara. If you hate every minute of it, I'll leave you alone forever. And if I don't hate it, his smile could light cities, then perhaps you'll let me see you again. Mara knows she should refuse, should demand to go home, should block his number, should forget this entire surreal evening ever happened. But she's spent 12 years being sensible, being the good wife, being the woman who smoothed edges and swallowed hurt, and never asked for more than she was given. And where did that get her? Serving coffee to the kind of people who used to be her peers, watching her ex-husband flaunt his upgrade while she counted tips to make rent. Maybe it's time to be a little insane. Okay, she breathes. Lucian's eyes flare silver bright. Okay? One dinner, but somewhere I choose. Mara lifts her chin, channeling a confidence she doesn't quite feel. Not some 5-star restaurant where I'll need a dictionary to read the menu. Somewhere real. Anywhere you want. Lucian looks like she's just handed him the world. Name it. There's the Italian place in my neighborhood. Tiny, family-owned, red-checkered tablecloths. They make the best chicken parmesan I've ever tasted, and the wine comes in actual glasses instead of crystal. She watches his face for disappointment, for the moment when he realizes she's nothing like the sophisticated women he probably usually dates. Instead, Lucian's smile grows wider. Perfect. Tomorrow night? I work until 10. Then I'll pick you up at 10:15. He pulls out his phone, sleek, expensive, probably worth more than her car, and hands it to her. Put in your number and your address. Mara's fingers fumble with the device. She's hyper-aware of Lucian watching her, of the small space between them in the back of the car, of the way her entire body seems to lean toward him like a plant seeking sunlight. When she hands the phone back, their fingers brush. Electricity races up her arm. I should get home, she says, not meaning it at all. You should. Lucian doesn't move. But I find myself reluctant to let you go. Why? The question comes out smaller than she intended. Why me? You could have anyone. I don't want anyone. His hand cups her face, thumb stroking her cheekbone with devastating gentleness. I want the woman who works double shifts and still finds energy to be kind. I want the woman who kissed me in front of her ex-husband because she was brave enough to gamble on a stranger. I want you, Mara. Just as you are. The words crack something open in her chest. Before she can think better of it, Mara leans forward and kisses him again. This time it's softer, exploratory, rather than desperate. Lucian makes a sound low in his throat, his hand sliding into her hair to hold her close. He kisses her like she's fragile and fierce all at once, like he's memorizing the shape of her mouth, like he has all the time in the world and wants to spend it right here. When they finally part, Mara's breathing hard. Lucian's eyes have gone dark again, his pupils blown wide with something that looks like hunger. Tomorrow, he murmurs against her lips. 10:15. Tomorrow, Mara agrees. Sterling drives her home in silence, but she catches him smiling in the rearview mirror. Her apartment building looks shabbier than usual after the luxury of Lucian's car, peeling paint, flickering hallway lights, the faint smell of someone's burnt dinner seeping through the walls. But when Mara climbs into bed that night, still wearing her clearance rack dress, her lips still tingling from Lucian's kiss, she feels like she's stepped into someone else's fairy tale. Her phone buzzes just as she's drifting off. Sleep well, beloved. Tomorrow can't come fast enough. She saves his number under L and falls asleep smiling. The next day passes in a haze of anticipation and anxiety. Mara spills coffee twice, forgets a table's order, and snaps at the cook when he asks if she's feeling all right. By 8 p.m., she's so jittery that her manager Donna pulls her aside. What's going on with you? Donna asks, her weathered face creased with concern. You've been vibrating like a tuning fork all day. I have a date, Mara admits. Tonight, after my shift. Donna's eyebrows climb toward her hairline. A date? Honey, you haven't been on a date since Marcus. I know. Mara cuts her off before she can finish. That's why I'm terrified. Who's the lucky guy? Mara opens her mouth, then closes it. How does she explain Lucienne? The impossible stranger who swept into her life and turned everything upside down. The man who might not be entirely human. Someone new, she finally says. Someone different. Donna studies her for a long moment, then grins. Different good or different bad? I don't know yet. Mara glances at the clock. 9:30, still 30 minutes to go. But I think I'm about to find out. The last half hour of her shift crawls by like molasses. Mara serves her final customers on autopilot, her mind spinning with questions. What if Lucienne doesn't show up? What if last night was some elaborate game? What if she's built this up in her head, and the reality is disappointing? What if it's everything she's been hoping for? At 10:05, she's in the bathroom, frantically trying to make herself presentable. Her reflection stares back, tired and anxious, hair escaping its ponytail, makeup long since faded, her uniform smelling like fryer grease. She looks exactly like what she is, a 38-year-old woman who works at a diner and barely makes ends meet. Lucian could have anyone. Why would he choose this? She's still staring at her reflection when her phone buzzes. I'm outside. Mara's heart performs acrobatics. She grabs her jacket, says a hasty goodbye to Donna, who makes exaggerated kissing noises that earn her an eye roll, and steps out into the night. The sleek black car waits at the curb, looking absurdly out of place among the economy sedans and beat-up trucks. Sterling stands beside the back door, his expression professionally neutral. When he sees her, he nods and opens the door. Miss Mara. She slides into the car and finds Lucienne waiting, and her breath catches all over again. He's dressed more casually tonight, dark jeans, a charcoal sweater that makes his pale eyes look luminous, but he's still impossibly beautiful. Still so perfect that looking at him makes her chest ache. Hi, she manages. Hello, beloved. Lucian's smile is soft, genuine. You look exhausted. It's not what she expected him to say. Mara lets out a startled laugh. That's not very romantic. I'm not trying to be romantic. I'm trying to be honest. He reaches across the seat and takes her hand. His fingers are cool against her skin, that strange, not quite human temperature that should be alarming, but somehow feels right. You worked a 10-hour shift. Your feet probably hurt. You smell like coffee and cooking oil, and you're still the most beautiful thing I've seen in decades. Mara's throat tightens. You're insane! Probably. His thumb traces circles on her palm. But I've spent 200 years being sensible. I think I've earned a little insanity. 200. She stops, processing. You're serious? About being insane? Absolutely. But his eyes tell her he knows what she's really asking. How old are you really? Mara whispers. Lucienne is quiet for a moment, his gaze distant. I was born in 1798, in a small village in Romania that doesn't exist anymore. I was 26 when I was turned. That was 201 years ago. The number hangs between them, impossible and terrifying. Mara should be running, should be screaming, should be calling someone, although who do you call when your date admits to being a vampire? Instead, she squeezes his hand. That's a long time to be alone. Something shifts in Lucian's expression. Surprise, maybe, or gratitude. Yes, it is. So, Mara says, trying for lightness, does this mean you're actually going to eat the chicken parmesan I'm recommending? Or are you going to sit there ordering coffee again? Lucian laughs, and the sound fills the car like music. I can eat human food, I just don't need to. But for you, I'll try the chicken parmesan. And the wine? I can drink. The alcohol doesn't affect me the same way, but I enjoy the taste. What about... Mara hesitates, then pushes forward. She needs to know. What about the other things? Sunlight? Crosses? Garlic? Sunlight is unpleasant, but not deadly. I just burn very easily and prefer to avoid it. Crosses are meaningless jewelry. Garlic is delicious. His smile is wry. Most of the legends are exactly that. Legends, created by people who wanted simple answers to complicated monsters. Are you a monster? The question comes out barely above a whisper. Lucian's hand tightens on hers. I've done monstrous things. I've lived too long and seen too much humanity to pretend otherwise. But I've also spent the past century trying to be better than what I was made to be. He meets her eyes. Does that frighten you? Mara considers lying, then decides honesty is the only option. Yes, but not as much as it probably should. We can go back, Lucian offers quietly. Sterling can drive you home. You can delete my number and forget this ever happened. I won't hold it against you. Do you want me to? No. The word comes out fierce. No, I want you to have dinner with me. I want to learn what makes you laugh. I want to hear about your life before Marcus, before the diner, before everything went wrong. I want... He stops, jaw clenching. I want things I have no right to want. Mara makes a decision that will probably change everything. Then let's go to dinner. The Italian restaurant is exactly as Mara described. Tiny, warm, smelling like garlic and fresh bread. The owner, Carlo, greets her with a booming laugh and a kiss on both cheeks, his eyes widening when he sees Lucian behind her. Mara, you bring a date. Finally. He ushers them to a corner table, the best in the house, and winks outrageously. I make you something special, yes? They're seated in a corner booth, red checkered tablecloth and flickering candles providing the only light. It's intimate and slightly shabby and perfect. Mara feels herself relaxing for the first time all night. You're a regular here, Lucian observes. I come here every Friday. It's my one indulgence. Mara traces patterns on the tablecloth. Carlo's wife Rosa makes this lemon cake that's basically heaven. And the chicken parmesan is the best you've ever tasted, you mentioned. Lucian's smile is fond. Tell me about before. Before? Before Marcus. Before the diner. Who were you, Mara? It's been so long since anyone asked. Mara finds herself talking about her childhood in upstate New York, about her mother who taught 3rd grade, and her father who fixed cars, about her dreams of being an artist before practical concerns took over, about meeting Marcus in college, about the whirlwind romance that swept her into marriage at 23. I thought he was my forever, she admits, staring at the candle flame. 12 years. I supported him through 3 failed gallery ventures, worked 2 jobs when money was tight, believed him every time he said the next show would be our breakthrough. Her voice hardens. Then he met Bethany at some art opening. 26 years old, family money, connections he'd spent years trying to build. Suddenly, I was holding him back. Suddenly, I was the problem. Lucian's hand covers hers on the table, cold and solid, and somehow comforting. He's a fool. He's successful. The gallery is finally taking off. He has the girl, the career, the life he always wanted. Mara blinks back tears. I got the diner and a studio apartment with neighbors who fight at 3 a.m. You got your freedom. Lucian's voice is fierce. You got away from a man who couldn't see your worth. And someday, maybe not today, maybe not this year, but someday, you'll realize that was the greatest gift he ever gave you. Before Mara can respond, Carlo arrives with 2 plates of chicken parmesan that smell like heaven. Lucian picks up his fork with obvious uncertainty, and Mara finds herself smiling despite everything. You really haven't eaten regular food in a while, have you? Decades, he admits. This feels very strange. She watches him take his first bite, watches his expression shift from skepticism to surprise to genuine pleasure. It's good, he says, sounding amazed. I'd forgotten food could taste like this. They eat in comfortable silence for a while. Mara finds herself studying Lucian in the candlelight. The way he moves with unconscious grace. The way his eyes track every movement in the restaurant like he's cataloging threats. The way he looks at her like she's something rare and precious. "What about you?" she finally asks. "Tell me about your before." Lucian sets down his fork. "My before is long and complicated. We have time." So he tells her about growing up in a village where superstition ruled and strangers were feared. About being turned during a plague year by a vampire who'd grown tired of immortal solitude. About the decades of darkness that followed, learning to hunt, learning to hide, learning to live with what he'd become. "I was a monster," he says quietly. "For a long time, I was exactly what humans feared. I killed without remorse. I fed without thought. I believed humans were cattle, nothing more." Mara's stomach clenches. What changed? "I met someone who showed me I was wrong." His eyes grow distant. "Her name was Elise, a painter in Paris, 1889. She saw me feeding one night, and instead of screaming, she asked if I'd pose for her, said I had interesting bone structure." Despite everything, Mara smiles. "Seriously?" "She was fearless and kind, and she made me remember what it felt like to be human." Lucian's voice softens. "She died 30 years later, old and satisfied, surrounded by her paintings. I was with her at the end, and afterward, I decided I wanted to spend my immortality trying to be worthy of her faith in me." "So you became," Mara gestures vaguely. "Rich?" Lucian's smile is self-deprecating. 200 years of compound interest helps. But also, I started using my resources differently. Funding medical research, supporting artists, creating opportunities for people who needed them. He meets her eyes. "I can't undo what I was, but I can try to build something better." Carlo brings them wine and Rosa's famous lemon cake. They talk for hours, about art and mortality, about loneliness and connection, about the small moments that make life worth living, regardless of how long you have. Lucian makes her laugh with stories about accidentally attending his own funeral and having to pretend to be his own great-great-grandson to reclaim his property. Mara tells him about her worst customer stories, about the woman who sent back coffee 7 times because it wasn't exactly room temperature, about the teenager who left her a $100 tip with a note that said, "My mom's a waitress too." By the time they leave, it's past midnight. Mara's sides hurt from laughing. Her cheeks ache from smiling, and she feels more alive than she has in years. Sterling drives them through empty streets. Lucian holds her hand in the back seat, his thumb tracing lazy patterns on her palm. "I have a proposition," he says as they pull up to her apartment building. Mara's heart stutters. "Oh?" "Nothing inappropriate," he adds quickly, then pauses. "Well, not entirely inappropriate. I want to see you again, regularly, as often as you'll allow." "Like dating?" "Like dating, with full transparency about what I am and what that means." His expression grows serious. "It won't be easy, Mara. There are complications to being involved with someone like me. Dangers you shouldn't have to face. Such as? I have enemies. Other vampires who don't share my philosophy about human life. People who might try to hurt you to get to me. And there's the fundamental problem that I'm immortal and you're..." He stops, jaw clenching. "You're beautifully, heartbreakingly mortal." Mara should be scared. Should be running for the hills. Instead, she finds herself leaning closer. "So, we'll be careful. We'll figure it out." She cups his face, feeling the cool smoothness of his skin under her palms. "I spent 12 years being safe, Lucian. Being practical. Being the woman who never asked for more than she was given. Where did that get me? Mara, I'm not saying I'm ready to pledge my eternal devotion after one dinner, but I'm saying I want to see where this goes." She smiles. "Even if this is dating a 200-year-old vampire who tips too much at diners." Lucian laughs. and the sound fills the car like light. Then he kisses her, slow and deep and thorough, his hand cradling the back of her head like she's something precious. When they part, his eyes are silver bright. "I don't deserve you," he murmurs against her lips. "Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway." He insists on walking her to her door, moving with that unconscious grace through the shabby hallway. At her apartment, he lingers, clearly reluctant to leave. "Tomorrow?" he asks. "I work until 6. "Then I'll pick you up at 6:15. He kisses her forehead, her cheeks, her mouth. "Sleep well, beloved." Mara watches him walk away, then floats into her apartment on a cloud of dizzy happiness. Her phone buzzes as she's getting ready for bed. "Thank you for tonight, for trusting me, for being brave enough to take a chance on a stranger. You're extraordinary, Mara." She falls asleep with her phone clutched to her chest, still smiling. The next 3 weeks pass in a blur of stolen moments and late-night conversations. Lucian picks her up after every shift, takes her to restaurants ranging from hole-in-the-wall diners to places so fancy she needs Donna's help picking appropriate clothes. They go to museums after hours. "Benefits of knowing people for a century," Lucian explains as he bribes a guard. They drive to the coast at midnight and walk on empty beaches, Mara's hand in his cold grip while they argue about books and music and whether immortality is a gift or a curse. Mara learns that Lucian reads voraciously, that he plays piano like a concert virtuoso, that he has a wicked sense of humor hidden beneath his formal exterior. She learns that he genuinely doesn't sleep, that he spends his nights reading or working, or, increasingly, texting her rambling messages about everything and nothing. And she learns that being with him feels right in a way nothing has in years. But reality has a way of intruding. It happens on a Thursday night. Mara's working the late shift, the diner nearly empty except for a couple of truckers, and the homeless man Lucian's been secretly helping, Victor, who now has a small apartment and regular meals thanks to an anonymous benefactor that everyone knows is actually Lucian. The door chimes and Marcus walks in. Mara freezes, her hand tightening on the coffee pot. Her ex-husband looks terrible. Expensive suit rumpled, hair disheveled, eyes bloodshot. He scans the diner until he spots her, and something dark crosses his face. "We need to talk," he says without preamble. Every instinct screams at Mara to refuse, but they're in public, surrounded by witnesses. What can he really do? "I'm working. It's important." Marcus glances around the nearly empty diner. "Please, 5 minutes." Against her better judgment, Mara nods. She pours him coffee, habit, muscle memory, and slides into the booth across from him. "What do you want, Marcus?" "What do I—" He laughs, sharp and bitter. "You're really asking me that? After you humiliated me at that gallery? After you paraded around with Lucian Ashcroft, like some kind of trophy?" Mara's temper flares. "I humiliated you? You're the one who introduced me as your first attempt at marriage. You're the one who left me for a woman young enough to be our daughter. You're the one who made a mistake, okay?" Marcus runs his hands through his hair, and for a moment he looks almost human, almost like the man she married. "Bethany and it's not working. She's immature, demanding. She wants things I can't give her, and I keep thinking about us, about what we had. No." Mara stands up, coffee sloshing over the rim of her cup. "No, you don't get to do this. You don't get to throw me away and then come crawling back when your upgrade doesn't work out." "Mara, please." "I'm with someone now, someone who treats me like I matter, someone who's using you." Marcus leans forward, and there's genuine anger in his eyes now. "Do you know who Lucian Ashcroft is? Really is? He's dangerous, Mara. There are rumors, people who disappear around him, business rivals who end up ruined. He's not what you think." "And what do you think he is?" Mara's voice is cold. "A predator playing with his food." Marcus's jaw clenches. "You're a project to him, a novelty. How long do you think his interest will last? How long until he gets bored and moves on to someone more exciting, more sophisticated, more..." More what? More like Bethany? Mara feels tears threatening, but refuses to let them fall. You don't get to do this. You don't get to destroy my confidence and then pretend you're protecting me. Get out, Marcus. I'm trying to help you. Get out. Marcus stands, his face flushed with anger and something that might be genuine hurt. Fine, but when he breaks your heart, and he will, Mara, men like that always do, don't come crying to me. He storms out, leaving a 20 on the table that Mara immediately throws in the trash. She's shaking when she returns to the counter. Donna appears from the kitchen, concern written across her face. You okay, honey? I'm fine, Mara lies. But Marcus's words echo in her head for the rest of her shift. What if he's right? What if she's just a novelty to Lucienne, a temporary diversion? He's lived 200 years. How can she possibly compete with that kind of experience? That kind of history? By the time her shift ends, Mara's worked herself into a state of quiet panic. When Lucian's car pulls up at 6:15, she almost doesn't get in. But he's waiting, and his smile when he sees her could light cities, and she's too tired to fight her own heart. Bad shift? He asks as she slides into the seat beside him. Marcus came by. Mara stares at her hands. He said some things. Lucian goes very still. What kind of things? So she tells him about Marcus's warnings, about his claims that Lucian is dangerous, about the suggestion that she's just a project. By the time she finishes, Lucian's jaws clenched so tight she can see the muscle jumping. Do you believe him? He asks quietly. I don't know. Mara's voice cracks. I want to say no, but he's right about some things. You are dangerous? You do have this whole secret life I can barely understand. And I'm just me. A 38-year-old waitress with nothing special to offer. Stop. Lucian's hand cups her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. Stop right there. You are not just anything. You're brave and kind and strong enough to rebuild your life after it fell apart. You're funny and smart, and you see the good in people even when they don't deserve it. You're everything, Mara. Everything I've been looking for and didn't think I'd ever find. But for how long? The question comes out broken. How long until you realize I'm not enough? How long until... He kisses her. It's desperate and fierce, his hands tangling in her hair like he's afraid she'll disappear. When he pulls back, his eyes are blazing. Listen to me carefully, he says, voice rough. I have lived 200 years. I have traveled the world, met kings and queens and presidents, attended parties that would make your head spin. I have been with women more beautiful, more sophisticated, more everything than I have any right to deserve. Mara's heart sinks. This is it. This is where he... And none of them, Lucian continues fiercely, none of them made me feel the way you do. None of them made me want to be better. None of them made me remember what it's like to be human. His thumb brushes away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. You're not a project or a novelty. You're the first person in decades who's made me believe I deserve something good. Lucian, I'm in love with you. The words hang in the air like thrown stars. I've been in love with you since the first time I saw you comfort that crying child in the diner. Since the first time you smiled at me like I was a person instead of a monster. And I will spend however long you'll allow me proving that you're worth more than Marcus or anyone else ever made you believe. Mara's crying now, tears streaming down her face. That's not fair. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's true. Lucian pulls her into his arms, and she buries her face in his chest, breathing in his scent of cedar and winter. I love you, Mara. Not because you're easy or convenient or some kind of project, but because you're you. And that's more than enough. They sit like that for a long time, Mara crying into his chest, while Lucian holds her like she's the most precious thing in the world. Eventually, her tears subside, leaving her feeling wrung out and raw, and somehow lighter. I love you too, she whispers. I think I have for weeks. I was just too scared to admit it. Lucian tilts her face up and kisses her, soft and sweet and full of promise. Then be scared with me. We'll figure it out together. Sterling clears his throat from the driver's seat. Perhaps we should take this conversation somewhere more private. Mara laughs, watery and slightly hysterical. Your place? If you're comfortable with that. She is, more than she should be. Lucian's apartment, calling it an apartment feels wrong. It's more like a penthouse that occupies the entire top floor of a building downtown, is exactly what she expected. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, furniture that looks like it belongs in museums, art on the walls that probably costs more than her annual salary. But there are also books scattered on every surface, a battered piano in the corner with sheet music stacked haphazardly, a throw blanket draped over the couch that looks soft and well used. It's a home, not just a showplace. It's beautiful, Mara says. It's ostentatious. Lucien shrugs out of his jacket, but it serves its purpose. Would you like some wine? Tea? I have regular food now. Sterling's been teaching me to shop like a human. Wine sounds perfect. He pours them both glasses and they settle on the couch overlooking the glittering city. Mara kicks off her shoes and curls into his side, feeling the strange comfort of his cool body against hers. Tell me about the bad parts, she says quietly, about being what you are. Not the romanticized version. The real parts. Lucian is quiet for a long moment. I get hungry, he finally says. Not often. I can go weeks without feeding. But when the hunger hits, it's overwhelming. Like every cell in your body screaming for something you can't have. I've learned to manage it, to use blood banks and willing donors. But it never goes away completely. Have you ever, with me, been tempted? His laugh is bitter. Every single time I'm near you, you smell like summer and life and everything I'm not. But I would never... His voice hardens. I would never take from you without permission. I would rather starve. Mara sets down her wine glass and straddles his lap before she can think better of it. Lucian sucks in a breath, his hands automatically coming to rest on her hips. What if I gave you permission? She asks. Mara, I'm serious. If it's part of who you are, if it's something you need. No. The word comes out fierce. Not like this. Not because you feel obligated or because you're trying to prove something. If, and it's a big if, we ever cross that line, it will be because you want it. Because you understand what you're offering. Not because I can't control myself. She kisses him, pouring everything she can't say into the press of her lips against his. Lucian groans, his hands tightening on her hips, and suddenly they're moving. He's carrying her, vampire speed. She barely processes the blur. And then her back is against something soft. A bed. His bed. Is this okay? He asks, hovering over her, his eyes searching her face for any sign of hesitation. More than okay. Mara pulls him down for another kiss. I love you, Lucian. All of you. Monster and man and everything in between. What happens next is tender and fierce and perfect in its imperfection. Lucian maps every inch of her body like he's memorizing scripture, his cold hands leaving trails of electricity across her skin. Mara discovers that vampire strength doesn't preclude gentleness, that immortality hasn't dulled his capacity for wonder. Afterward, they lie tangled together, Mara's head on his chest listening to his heartbeat, slow, so much slower than hers, but steady. I want to give you something, Lucian says quietly. He reaches over to the nightstand and pulls out a small box. Inside is a key on a silver chain. To this place, he explains. I want you to have somewhere to go, somewhere safe. His expression grows serious. Marcus was right about one thing. I am dangerous. There are people who might try to hurt you to get to me. This building has security, protective measures. If anything ever happens, if you ever need sanctuary, you come here. Mara takes the key, feeling its weight in her palm. You're serious. I've never been more serious about anything. He cups her face. I love you, Mara. That means protecting you, even from the consequences of loving me back. She should be scared. Should be running. Instead, she fastens the chain around her neck and kisses him again. The next morning, Mara wakes to find Lucien watching her with an expression of such tender wonder that it makes her chest ache. How long have you been staring at me? She asks. A few hours. You snore, by the way. It's adorable. She throws a pillow at him, which he catches easily. I do not snore. Like a tiny chainsaw. He dodges her next throw, laughing. Come on, Sterling's making breakfast. Apparently he's decided you need proper food. Breakfast turns out to be an elaborate spread that would put most restaurants to shame. Sterling serves it with the same professional neutrality he shows everything, but Mara catches him smiling when he thinks no one's looking. How long have you worked for Lucien? She asks. 43 years, Sterling replies, pouring her coffee. Since 1982, I was homeless, freezing to death in an alley. Mr. Ashcroft found me, gave me a job and a purpose. His expression softens. He saved my life, so I've dedicated mine to serving him. Sterling, Lucien says, sounding embarrassed. It's true, sir, and if I may... He turns to Mara, his eyes serious. He's a good man. Not perfect, but good. Whatever challenges come, know that he'll face them with you. The words feel like a blessing. Mara reaches across the table and takes Lucien's hand. I know, she says. Life settles into a new rhythm. Mara still works at the diner, but now she comes home to texts from Lucien, to dinners where they argue about art and politics, to nights curled up on his couch while he reads and she sketches. She starts drawing again, something she hasn't done since college, rough pencil sketches of the city, of the diner, of Lucien's profile in lamplight. You're talented, he says one night, studying her latest drawing. Have you ever thought about showing your work? I'm a diner waitress, not an artist. You're both. Lucien's voice is firm. You're allowed to be both. He introduces her to gallery owners as his partner, not his girlfriend, not his date, but his partner, with all the weight and respect the word implies. When one of them shows interest in her sketches, offering her a spot in a group show, Mara nearly faints. I can't, she protests. I'm not ready. You're absolutely ready. Lucien kisses her forehead. But it's your choice. Always your choice. She says yes. The show isn't for 6 months, giving her time to build a portfolio. Donna cheers when she hears Victor, the formerly homeless man, offers to be her first customer, and Lucien looks at her like she's hung the moon. Everything is perfect, which is, of course, when everything falls apart. It happens on a Friday night, 2 months after Mara and Lucien first met. She's closing up the diner, the last customer having left an hour ago, when the door chimes. 3 men walk in. They're wearing expensive suits, moving with predatory grace that makes her skin prickle. The leader, pale, dark-haired, with eyes that catch the light wrong, smiles at her. You must be Mara, he says. His accent is vaguely European, hard to place. Lucien's little pet. Every alarm in Mara's body starts screaming. We're closed. Oh, I'm not here for food. The man, vampire, he has to be a vampire, steps closer. I'm here to deliver a message. Tell Lucien that Victor says hello, and that we're not finished with our business. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? Victor's smile sharpens. Lucien didn't mention that he owes me, that he took something from me 60 years ago and never paid his debt? No? He laughs. How disappointing. I thought you were special. Mara reaches for her phone, but one of Victor's companions moves, vampire fast, impossible to track, and plucks it from her hand. Now. No calling your protector just yet. Victor circles her like a shark. I want you to understand something, little human. Lucien may think he's found redemption in you, but he's still what he is. Still one of us. And we take care of our own debts. What debt? Mara demands, trying to keep her voice steady. In 1965, Lucien killed my maker, claimed it was self-defense, that she'd broken our laws. But she was mine, and her death left me vulnerable. Victor's eyes flash. He owes me a life. And now that he's found something precious, well, it seems only fair that I take it. Terror floods through her. Lucien will... What? Come rescue you? Victor laughs. I'm counting on it. Tell him Victor is waiting. Tell him to come to the old warehouse district if he wants you back in one piece. He nods to his companions. Take her. Mara tries to run, but vampire speed is impossible to outmaneuver. The last thing she sees before something hits her head is the diner's fluorescent lights flickering overhead. She wakes up in darkness. Her head throbs, her wrists are zip-tied behind her back, and she's sitting on cold concrete. The warehouse. She must be in the warehouse Victor mentioned. She can hear water dripping somewhere. The distant sound of traffic. Awake, are we? Victor's voice comes from the shadows. Good. I was worried my associate had hit too hard. Lucien would be very upset if we damaged his toy before he arrived. I'm not a toy, Mara grinds out. No? Then what are you? Victor steps into the thin light filtering through grimy windows. A girlfriend? A lover? Do you think you're the first human he's taken to bed, little girl? He's 200 years old. You're a blink, a moment, nothing. The words hurt because part of her has always feared they're true. But she thinks about Lucien's eyes when he says he loves her, about the way he holds her like she's precious, about Sterling's words that morning. You're wrong, she says. I'm not nothing. And when Lucien gets here, he'll have a choice. Victor crouches down. His face inches from hers. His life for yours. He can end this, pay his debt with his own existence, or he can walk away, let you die, and live with the guilt. His smile is cruel. What do you think he'll choose? Mara doesn't get a chance to answer. The warehouse door explodes inward with a sound like thunder, and Lucien stands in the opening. He looks terrifying. His eyes are blazing silver, his face carved from rage, and the temperature in the warehouse plummets so fast Mara can see her breath. This is Lucien the predator, Lucien the vampire, Lucien the thing that goes bump in the night. Let her go. Each word is punctuated with barely restrained violence. Victor laughs. There he is, the great Lucien Ashcroft, come to save his damsel in distress. How noble. He yanks Mara to her feet, one hand around her throat. Not squeezing, yet, but the threat is clear. I made you an offer, your life for hers. What's your answer? Victor, this is between us. She's innocent. No one's innocent. Victor's hand tightens fractionally, and Mara gasps. Especially not the humans who distract us from what we are. Your maker knew that. She tried to teach you, and you killed her for it. She was torturing humans for sport. Lucien's voice cracks like a whip. She broke every law we have. She was my sire, mine to protect or punish, not yours. Victor's face contorts with rage and grief. And you took her from me, so now I take something from you. Everything happens fast. Victor's hand starts to squeeze, Mara can't breathe, and Lucien moves with speed that blurs reality, but Victor's companions intercept him. And suddenly they're fighting, a tornado of supernatural violence that Mara can barely track. Then something cold presses into her hand. She looks down to see Sterling. When did he arrive? Sawing at her zip ties with a knife, his face grim. When I say run, he whispers, you run. Don't look back. The ties give way, Sterling shouts, now, and Mara bolts. Behind her she hears Lucien roar, hears the sound of bodies hitting concrete, hears Victor screaming something that might be a curse or a promise. She doesn't look back. She runs until her lungs burn, until her legs give out, until she collapses against a dumpster 3 blocks away and fumbles for her phone. It's still in her pocket. She dials with shaking hands. 911, what's your emergency? There's a fight at the old warehouse district. People are hurt. Please send... She stops. What can she say? Please send help? There are vampires fighting? She hangs up and calls the only other number she can think of. Lucian's phone goes to voicemail. She's trying Sterling when headlights flood the alley. It's the black car. Sterling climbs out, blood on his shirt but moving steadily. He opens the back door and Lucian emerges. He looks wrong. There's blood on his hands. His clothes are torn, and his eyes are still that blazing silver. But when he sees Mara, something shifts in his expression. The monster receding. The man returning. Beloved, he breathes. And then she's in his arms, sobbing against his chest, while he murmurs reassurances in a dozen languages. Victor? She finally manages. Gone. He won't bother you again. Lucian's voice is hard. His companions are dead. Victor escaped. But he knows I'll hunt him if he tries this again. You let him go? I had to make sure you were safe first. His arms tighten around her. Nothing matters more than that. Not revenge, not justice, not anything. Sterling clears his throat. We should leave before the police arrive. I may have set off a few alarms to cover our tracks. They drive in silence. Mara can't stop shaking, adrenaline and terror warring in her system. Lucian holds her the entire way, his cold presence somehow comforting despite everything. At his penthouse, Sterling insists on checking her for injuries. She has a bump on her head, some bruising around her throat, but nothing serious. Sterling produces a first aid kit, of course he has one, and tends to her while Lucienne paces like a caged animal. You should have told me, Mara says quietly once Sterling has left them alone. Lucienne stops pacing. What? About Victor, about what happened with his maker. You said you wanted transparency, but you kept this from me. He runs his hands through his hair, looking more human and vulnerable than she's ever seen him. I didn't want you to know what I was capable of. I killed her, Mara. Ripped her apart because she was torturing humans for entertainment. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not sorry either. And I was afraid that if you knew, if you really understood what I am when I'm not trying to be human, you'd run. I'm not running. Mara stands, crossing to where he's standing by the window. But I can't do this if you keep parts of yourself hidden. I need all of it, Lucian. The good, the bad, the monstrous. All of it. He turns to face her, and there are tears on his face. Actual tears, streaking down his pale cheeks like silver. I love you. And tonight, you almost died because of what I am. How can I ask you to stay knowing that? Mara reaches up and wipes away his tears. Because I love you too. And I'm choosing this, choosing you, with full knowledge of what it means. You could have died. His voice breaks. Victor could have killed you, and it would have been my fault. But I didn't die. You saved me. We saved each other. She pulls him down for a kiss, tasting salt and copper, and something indefinably him. I'm not going anywhere, Lucienne. You're stuck with me. He kisses her back, desperate and relieved, his hands tangling in her hair. When they finally part, his eyes have returned to their normal silver. Marry me, he says. Mara blinks. What? I know it's insane. I know we've only known each other for 2 months. But I've lived 200 years, and I've never been more certain of anything. His hands cup her face. Marry me, Mara. Let me spend whatever time we have showing you how extraordinary you are. Let me protect you, cherish you, love you the way you deserve. She should say no. Should tell him it's too fast, too much, too impossible. But she thinks about Marcus, about 12 years of playing it safe, about where careful choices got her. Yes, she breathes. Lucian's smile could rival the sun. He kisses her again, and this time it tastes like promises, and forever. 3 months later, Mara stands in Marcus's gallery at her own opening. Her sketches line the walls, studies of the city, of the diner, of Lucien playing piano in the early morning light. Critics mill about, wine glasses in hand, and she hears phrases like raw talent and stunning emotional depth floating past. Marcus is here too, lurking near the back. Bethany is notably absent. Rumor has it they broke up after she found out about his mountain of debt. He looks smaller somehow, diminished. Then Lucien arrives, and the entire gallery falls silent. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than the building, but it's the way he moves through the crowd, purposeful, graceful, unstoppable, that captures attention. He heads straight for Mara, ignoring everyone else, and pulls her into his arms. "You're brilliant," he murmurs against her ear. "These are extraordinary." "You're biased. I'm honest." He kisses her, right there in front of everyone, claiming her publicly and completely. When he pulls back, his eyes are soft. "I'm so proud of you, beloved." Mara catches Marcus's expression. Shock, regret, something that might be recognition of exactly what he lost. But it doesn't hurt anymore. She's moved beyond him, beyond the woman she was, into someone new and stronger. That night after the opening, Lucien takes her back to his penthouse. Their penthouse now, since she moved in last month. He's arranged champagne and strawberries on the balcony, and they sit overlooking the glittering city while he tells her stories from his past, and she shares her dreams for the future. "I want to keep working at the diner," she says. "Not forever, but for a while. Those people, Victor and Donna and Carlo, they're my family. Then we keep them." Lucien's arm tightens around her. "Whatever you want, beloved. Whatever makes you happy. You make me happy." She turns to face him, the engagement ring on her finger catching the moonlight. Us makes me happy. Even the complicated, scary, impossible parts. Good. He pulls her into his lap. "Because you're stuck with me for a very long time." "How long?" His expression grows serious. "I've been thinking about that. There are ways, if you wanted, to extend your life. Not transformation. Nothing like that unless you specifically choose it. But treatments, supplements, things that could give us decades instead of years." "And if I don't want that?" Mara asks quietly. "If I want to live a human lifespan and let you move on when I'm gone?" Pain flashes across his face. "Then I'll cherish every moment we have. And when you're gone, I'll remember you for the rest of my existence as the woman who taught me I was more than what I feared I was." Mara kisses him, slow and deep. "Ask me again in a few years. Right now, I just want to enjoy being alive with you." They make love under the stars, and Mara thinks about fairy tales, about vulnerable women and powerful creatures, about love that transcends logic and reason. But this isn't a fairy tale. It's better. It's real. She fell for a vampire king, and he fell right back, choosing her over centuries of loneliness, over safety, over everything. The ex who humiliated her is a distant memory. The woman who grabbed a stranger's collar and begged him not to push her away has become someone stronger, someone who knows her worth, who chose love over fear, who built a life worth living. And somewhere in the night, Lucien holds her close and promises her forever, one day at a time.